Welcome to our lovely future humans and to DB, who brought up a lovely question and more today. So I'm going to be answering that for this lovely episode. And we'll start with number one, 5D living. There is no proof for it or of it, but if you do look for any kind of proof, there's sciences, as I was responding in the lovely exchange we had, that are looking into it with the word consciousness. And one of them, if you're curious to look into him, his name is Thomas Campbell. And he is, I think, a physicist and did like the law of everything. And he says, the truth is not fragile. It will always float to the top, but sometimes it takes time to get past beliefs. And it takes a huge paradigm shift to get there. But eventually it will get there, and what it does, he says, and when it does, and the scientists say, yes, this is correct, then things start to take a specific effect. So I'll get to that one in a minute, because as I was telling you, I answered about how, the proof, we don't do proving, but 5D for those of us who are living it, it's Christ consciousness. For me, it has a special place in my heart because I was raised by good Christian Catholic catechist, and so Jesus, God, Holy Spirit. And if you're curious a little bit about my story, I'm the co-author of the book, The Ways to God. My chapter is titled, God is Discerning, Equanimous Love, and I give you my story. And then once I moved into becoming a mystic, because I had clairs before, but not in the same way that once I was opened up. And so as you pointed out, it seems like people talk about the 5D, and it's been like for years. Yes, it has been years. And right now we're settling into the 5D societal culture, which I knew the timeline. So high priestesses or spiritual masters, enlightened ones, those of us who are in communion with God, will know exactly what the timeline is. You'll notice who is living 5D because of their capacity to, like Jesus taught us, forgive, turn the other cheek, know that our brothers and sisters are all the same, and thanks to scientists, the ones who are in the evil scale, quote unquote, they are not Lucifers or monsters. They're people who need therapy. So when you're meeting emotionally unavailable, mentally unavailable, unintelligent, they all have unhealthy self-soothing mechanisms. Inner critic, outer critic, drinking, drugging, fucking. I met them as a teenager. I met them in college. I met them I still meet them. That's why, as I mentioned in our short today, the highest level of spirituality people, we leave 3D, 4D frequency people alone. Let them do their thing. Free will, God gave it to us. There's a reason for it. It's you get to choose what you want to do with your life. I don't choose for you. You choose. The scientists have proven the kingdom of God is with everyone within. Thank you, Jesus. As he mentions it, the scientists show it. Restorative embodiment. So you'll be living 5D when you are a securely attached, non-traumatized, self-regulating person, DB. That means that you are self-reflective, aware, accountable, and regulating, and in a healthy way. You do not drink to get out of stress. You do not have to do anything to get out of stress because you use good stress, which is why we create a body that is living with that which is called a lot of things: grace, akash, source, relaxing. It's a good stress. I'm trying to use a lot of different words to say restored embodiment. I know what it's like, going with the flow. The neuroscientists, neurobiologists, they prove it. So if you're living that already, DB, it means that you know how to anchor in your ventral energy. I do spiritual and personal growth for people who want to be their self. So your authentic life is your best life because God gave you this body. Or if you don't want to talk about God, source akash, you got the body. The body is you living the human stuff. The spirit and soul is the same, and the frequency is only one. So when you meet the ones who are creating their little groups, they're not actually in communion with God, because if they were, then they'd know we're all the same. And that when we see low frequency people, they need therapy. They can manifest. They're going to manifest with a body that is full of suffering. But don't worry, DB, because God is good. All of his children will be protected by their own failings. So they will have a group, and then they will have the masters that they bow down to as they continue to live shame for the rest of their life, not our life. We're not going to be near them. They don't like people who have healthy self-worth, because we'll tell them exactly what we think, how we think it, and we'll also be appropriate about it. Because it's called, when you know how to put someone in their place, it's not because you have low self-esteem. It's actually a healthy self-worth person. Bethany Brown and Ruth Lanius let me know what happens when people stare in the eyes of a person who has no insecurities. So sit down, DB. I'm going to tell you some stories. So living in 5D, securely attached, non-traumatized person, restored, embodied, self-aware, accountable, regulating. You know how to think and feel, and really we feel first and then think. And so we let people want to waste their life away, waste it. The free will God gave us. We all have it. There's no monsters inside of anyone. There's people that know of Patrick McNamara, neuroscientist, neurobiologist, and if you didn't know it, well, I think he's a neuroscientist, maybe not neurobiologist, but science has proven there's no evil inside of any human being. So anybody who's continuing to want to shame human beings, let them do their thing, because they're actually now just playing self-righteous, contemptuous batons. When people have trauma charges, their biases, their preferences, their likes and dislikes, they'll box it all up. Then they have their masters, and they'll present to you why their pseudo-intellectuals are the smart-ass human beings they are, and I'll say, sure they are. Here's the scientist. They got quantitative data analysis, and the physicist proves that love wins, so you morons don't know anything. No, I don't do any of this, DB, because that's the part. We don't hang out with them. No, we do hang out with them. But you better bet they're going to think that the compassion thing is bullshit. And so we allow ourselves to leave alone. Any negative person, leave it alone. Like Albert Einstein presents, they will present to you a problem for every solution. They will continue to harness that which is called little pokety poke. It's very boring. They have no high frequency because they're like a Zen master who has laundry. So when they cry, they don't know how to get over themselves. That's because they don't know how to self-regulate. They don't own their 0-1-year-old. So 5D living, restored embodiment, self-awareness, accountability, regulation skills. DB, you can ask any of the questions you want. The frequency is always on because you're in your ventral energy. That's because you own all of the 0-8-year-old child parts of you. So you're using an integrated brain. And I learned attachment trauma, and I'm still learning. Okay, so if you are following, great. So by anchoring in ventral energy, you allow yourself to maintain the highest level of spirituality, being yourself, okay? And that's why even if, let's say, you're having some shit go down, unknowns, uncertainties, unexpected, unwanteds. I have the inner growth mindset program. You don't know that, DB. And the 3 main modules are the first, dealing with all this stuff that we don't know from within you with an open heart, and then 3, going with the flow. So neuroscientists explain how we can be at our highest when we're selfless, timeless, effortlessness, richness, and I know all about it. Okay, so I've had 2 Kundalini awakenings. I got 3 twin flames. I got light body, light body, light body, light body, rainbow body. So through all of this, God's never left my side. Now put to the side the people in cloaks and all of the ones who want to own words, because they're the ones who we don't need to pay attention to. Their low frequency is their left brain, and you leave it alone. Cognitive dissonance, structural dissociation. If a person chooses to be their low emotional intelligence, they're going to continue to be Cusco. You know Cusco from The Emperor's New Groove? They're assholes. They're all assholes, like my facade friend. Don't waste your time with them. Let them talk. Let it get off the chest, and you just say, peace, sayonara, and actually don't do any of that. Otherwise, they're going to be like, eh. So Peter Pan's, they follow a leader, and then they need a superhero and a supervillain guy. So you have a bunch of magical thinkers. That's why they're adaptive child part. Okay, so I'm going to pause so that those who want to go can go, and I'm going to continue talking with lovely DB, as she's the one who asked the question. Okay, so the highest timeline. You were told about the highest timeline. You're waiting like a fool. Not waiting like a fool. As I told you, number 1, 5D, those of us who are spiritual, mystical, live these experiences. The ones who don't use these words, they are going to look at us like we're weirdos. Let them look at you like a weirdo. But the sciences who are amazing, like this Thomas Campbell, again, they're just awesome. They know all about the living from the heart. So they just don't, talk about Jesus or God or Akash or Source. Living a life in 5D, it means, okay, God, divine order. I'm going to talk about that. And so I also gave you divine order, staying open-hearted. God is very good at reminding us how to maintain humility, because he wants all of his children to know what it means to be, truly confident. Humility means that you can accept that you can be seen as crooked from someone, and you won't be like, oh my God, they just eroded my confidence. It will be, I don't give 2 shits about a moron. But you don't say it that way. You first learn how to not say any of that, and then you allow yourself to remember God is perfect. And I have a story for you of how perfect he is, and how we never question. I've never questioned him once. I've always said, so there's this one time I was in the desert. No, it's a figure of speech, but there's this one time that I'm trying to let go of a hand that I was letting go of because of a series of situations. And I remember I was like, I'm ready to go, and they wouldn't let go of my hand. So I was like, okay, I guess it's not time. We have a contract, yes. So I didn't let go of the hand, and then I find myself a certain amount of months after that, and I'm like talking to God, like, okay, you know, I did this, and now I'm facing another situation. So in this other situation, I cared a lot more than this hand that I was holding, because I didn't give a shit about the hand. The hand did whatever they wanted to do. I cared about the free will that we all have that we can't do anything about. So there's a person in my life that luckily they're still here, but they might have not been here anymore, meaning they might have gone. So this is the part of where, if you have heard about the 5D frequency, you know that our bodies are adapting to it. And those who won't adapt to it, well, I have news for you, DB. That's the suffering low frequency people. And you can't make somebody love themselves first. Emotionally unavailable people don't love themselves. You'd see how they treat themselves. They between alcohol and drugs and fucking and inner and outer critic, they've even created tarot cards to fuck each other. But you also don't need to go to the whole other extreme where there's people who are like doing I don't even want to go there. So the middle ground, common sense, is what words I'm going to use. Okay, so psychologically speaking, you're living mindfully and restorative embodiment. That's what 5D living is. And so when you are in the mystical sense looking to Akash and Source, it means you're living compassionately every day and you're in the state of enlightenment. So you don't have questions, you know, humanly speaking, that you're dealing with life. Life happens, right? Okay, let me get to Sadhguru. I had a quote from him that I want to read to you, but I need to find my phone. I had it here a second ago, but I have so many different... Where did I put that phone? There it is. I found it. I was like, where the hell? It went hiding on me. Okay, here we go. Okay, so I'm actually always entertained by the morons because they make me laugh, and that's why I get to talk about them here. DB. I'm still talking to DB. This is like a private conversation. I just can't hear the thoughts. But write me anything, and then I can do another video. Human beings need entertainment to hide their madness. If they were perfectly sane, they could just sit and watch the flowers blossom. Watch a flower blossom. Thank you, Sadhguru. So when you meet boring people, yes, they don't know how to use their mental faculties because they don't know how to use their thoughts, but they also don't know how to use their emotions. And that's why you'll find a cynic saying, I just want to be a world that's not about feels that. It is right. And I make fun of him because seriously. So 5D living is when you can be your human self. You do forgive people. You know that the kingdom of God is within everyone. So we're all children of God. You have no envy, jealousy, spite. You're not comparing yourself. You're not competing. Okay, great. So with that being said, doesn't matter if people believe in you or not, DB. Let me tell you some stories, shall I? I'm a teenager and I got a teenage boyfriend. He's the first love of my life. And the grown-ups are like, it'll be the best love or the most. No, it's not. It actually isn't. Love is the same for me, for all human beings, because love is the oxytocin gene hormone. Open-ended inquiry, no goal. It forces you to develop strength, courage, curiosity. This is from one of my attachment trauma educators. Since you stay with the feeling and you stay with the sense of self. So when you meet emotionally unavailable men, women, I don't know theys, they're all people that you just want to leave them alone because they're going to get obnoxious. They have no faith. They have no trust. They have no belief. They have no curiosity. They present a problem for every single bit of joy that you will have. They will slow you down as you're actually on a high. The ones who are playing special, they're just as bad because then they're the morons who don't realize how perfect God is in the world. So they will have a lot to say about what's taking place in our world. So let me tell you, if you still suffer anything, DB, then that means that you can still, if you want, learn to harness what is your emotional resilience. So it's like a muscle. That's why mindset. You reframe. This isn't you pretending. You're actually allowing yourself to create what is a positive, resilient, restorative, embodied experience. If you don't know how to wield your nervous system, then you're not living 5D yet. And that's when Dr. Amy Pegan, she's a great neuroscientist or neurobiologist, I forget, but she knows how to explain what bad resilience is. Okay, so if you own your child parts, you own your sense of self, you're living an integrated brain life, then you're navigating 5D because you can cry it out without making it into a vendetta. You can get angry without actually thinking you're correct. And you can also get afraid without you thinking that you need to be afraid of people just because of different genders or different political views or different whatever. Okay, so when you have healthy fear, it means that the only thing you'll be afraid of is a bear. So you would instinctively, when they say man or bear, I said man, and I'm a woman. Okay, so this is the part. That's why we have no disturbance in self-organization. People who have disturbances in self-organization, they have issues with relationships, emotions, affect, and the sense of self. And like Patrick Tian, a really great childhood trauma survivor, healing therapist, I always say, because I don't know his story, in his video, Why Your CPTSD Isn't Getting Better, he explains why. And so when you see people who are betraying themselves, that's why they're betraying all the other people. Do you know about adaptive child part people? So they have a losing strategy, which is their left brain. They're not brilliant, they're morons. That's why I don't say anything. I want to be a polite person. If you can't say something nice, my mother taught me not to say anything at all, and God taught me not to play know-it-all, because all of his children deserve the right to know that they are loved. So we learn how to accept, love, and respect all just the way they are, which is why we also know how to love all people just the way that they are. It is when you can make a mistake. So love for me is, I can make a mistake, you can make a mistake, we say we're sorry, and then we keep moving forward in our relationship. And then, as Sadhguru points out, if you have ever been put through unpleasant situations in life, you should be sensible enough not to put anyone else in such situations. So usually I read a bunch of quotes, but I want to talk to you a little bit. That way you can hear some of my stories, DB, and then ask me whatever questions you want. If I lost you anywhere, just let me know, tell me the time, and I'll go back, and then I'll make another video tomorrow. But number one, as this lovely man, Dan Martell, successful entrepreneur, your future self begins today. So however you live mentally, emotionally, and physically, you're already impacting your life. If when you're dealing with unknowns, uncertainties, unwanteds, all that stuff, allow yourself to sit in open-ended inquiry. And as a person who supports, as a mentor, personal and spiritual growth, people will be choosing the mindset they want to apply. But you need to be able to self-regulate effectively. This is the one thing I've noticed. 3D, 4D, they don't know that. They have not harnessed their nervous system due to the fact that they don't own their child parts. Maria's child parts, they're all whole. Nobody can do anything to make me feel. I will feel what I will feel, and then I will be able to regulate myself, and I'll be able to get over it. In fact, my superpower, there's a lot of superpowers, but I have one story for you, because you mentioned something about someone betraying you again, right? You said again. So I'm assuming that there's a person that you think is the love of your life, and that they have once again chosen a path that is not the path of love. So I'm going to talk to you about that specifically, but I'm going to reiterate a couple of things we looked at. So Dan Martell, the person you will be in 5 years depends on the books you read now, what you're doing now, who you're hanging out with, okay, all of it. And so when you see someone who doesn't care to take note about the moderation, health is moderation, and then you'll know if they're having a good time. Okay, so it's easy for me to talk about it. I'm a self-agent. Those who have a fake sense of self, they are not yet a person, and they don't and won't be a person. When we're talking about acceptance, it's very important to talk about the difference between accepting experience as it arises in your own body and endorsing a certain kind of behavior. And then there's actually another quote. Where is that one? There's you can't heal what you don't acknowledge. So when people don't acknowledge that they're insecure human beings with unhealthy self-soothing mechanisms, and that they're emotionally unavailable. So fantasy stage, I don't know how many words of the attachment trauma education people you know, but fantasy stage, all the individuals who need the entertainment that Sadhguru talked about, they are boring and they're dull and they have nothing to do in their life, but they could get better. They could totally live a life of aliveness. Instead, they'd rather play pseudo-live people. That's what they do. And I've seen them throughout the 10, you talked about 10 years? Yeah, I've been ascending since 2005, 2008. Nothing has changed. They stay in the low frequency. And you know what? They don't care. The dark side's in neuroplasticity. So if whoever it is that did it again, yeah, leave it alone. Because if they did it twice, it means it's going to be a third time. And I'm not saying to lose hope in anyone. No. They have the free will choice to make of themselves that which they wish. And so if somebody is not living at their highest, is because they didn't tap into mental, emotional, or physical intelligence. They don't have the drive. You need to have the drive to be the best version of yourself, which means you don't want to live out shame for the rest of your life. Shame is nobody needs it. The only ones who need it are the same ones who think that it's needed because they don't know where it comes from. It comes from when our ancestors would kick us out of the herd. And when they don't believe in scientists, that's another thing that makes me laugh, because scientists have proof. There's a number of different the human elements. It's all the anthropologists, neuroscientists, neurobiologists. They know exactly how we're made. So if someone prefers a fantasy story, there you go, Peter Pan, have fun with Hook. Go, hang out, have fun, pretending to fight swords. You got a man playing Russian roulette on screen. This dude's an idiot. He's an asshole and an idiot. And that's what I do with people who are morons, meaning I'm far, far, far away from them. And in this lifetime, I have nothing to do with any of things that I have in my past lifetimes. I know them. Do you know yours, DB? I saw one of mine. And I remember, so this is an LBLT. If you ever want one, I have a person. It's really amazing. So when I saw this past life, I wasn't surprised because I have had 3 twin flames and I know exactly who they are, and I've had soulmates. And when I got to see this lifetime of mine, I'm a man in it. I was like, yep, that makes sense. And the karma thing, remember the dharma thing? Yeah, so basically, I know that I closed out karma, all my karma, with my masculine. So my masculine, and the masculine is the one who holds the karma, because the masculine gets buffooned in a certain way. Feminine, if it's an empowered feminine, she don't get buffooned. But there can be the distorted feminine. So this isn't about woman or man. This is about actually the different elements and how they ascend and expand. But let me think of the story that okay, so yeah, if they've done it to you twice, I'm gonna say don't count on it not happening again. Move on and allow yourself to look at it from a human perspective. Emotionally unavailable people. I'm 45. A bunch of my friends let me know they're going to stay alcoholics. They're going to stay they watch a bunch of stuff that is completely uninteresting. You don't learn anything. It's called a way to, wait, here it is. Hold on a minute. All these amazing people talking about it. So when you meet on Laura LeCunff, fix your destructive mindset in 15 minutes. Thank you, Laura. And Laura, excuse me. Cynical, survival mode, escapist. They actually just waste their time escaping reality. Perfectionist, I'm a healthy one. But the ones who are perfectionists here, they try to escape uncertainty through work. And the cynical, it's basically survival mode, which is where there's a guy out there who says, I want it to be robots about what is right. No, it feels right. And I'm like, wow. And he tears down people that connect to people through their heart. And he also talks about how he is jealous because they have millions of followers and he doesn't. And he believes enlightenment is a trap, like a Zen master who also believes so. So when you see people whining about crying, that's because they don't know how to build emotional resiliency because they're not emotionally elite. Apparently, DB, I'm emotionally elite. What are you? Are you emotionally elite? So let me tell you, I'm a teenager, teenage boyfriend, first relationship, love of my life. Yes. Did I cry? Sure. When he broke up, was I able to get over it? Yes, I was. When someone said, you let him get away, I said, who, my dog? I didn't have him on a leash. I didn't realize that was what my relationship was. No, because you're not jealous. Yeah, I'm not jealous because I'm not an insecure person. So FYI, I moved into the polyamory community. I have my polyfidelity vessel. I got people who want in. I'm like, you're not in my polyfidelity vessel. Just because I'm polyamory don't mean you're in any of it. So when you meet ignorant human beings, by the way, they're hilarious because they think morality and integrity has something to do with words. While I'm like, I'm watching you walk and talk right now. Also watching if you're compassionate or not. I'm watching if you know how to be humble. I'm watching if you know how to stumble and then get up and notice yourself. Are you self-reflective, aware, or accountable? Do you know how to wield your nervous system by any chance? Or are you someone that is going to be, what is it? Your confidence eroded when I look away? Okay, DB, I'm talking to you because you said again. This means it's a second time. If it's a man, a woman, I don't know. But I'm trying to give you a couple of things and more so you can understand I'm about to come in with the, okay, so people think that Maria pretends to, what is it word? Smile. Smile, na 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 na, and I like to sing a lot, and I smile and cry. What I like to let you know is I was raised with good Christian Catholic upbringing, and I got to learn about my brothers and sisters. They're all angels, and I got to learn about Jesus. I got to learn how he suffered for our sins, and then I got to learn how God asks you of only one of two things with your free will. right? So one, you believe in Jesus as his son and all that good stuff. So even if I was raised Christian Catholic, the basics are what were taught to us. So somebody who truly repents for their sins, they won't redo the same crime, right? It doesn't matter what it is. So anybody who wants to cast a stone, I was casting a stone as a kid, I don't as a grown-up. The spiritual bypassers, they can't handle what's unfair. You know what I can't handle? A little girl in my mind's eye who's still crying and being so afraid to grab juice. And someone who wants to tell me that they don't think that a globe can get it together, they're not in my ear. They don't know what I know, which is who God is. That God is awesome. Cosmic karmic balancing, DB, it happens. So divine order, there's always one. And we don't need to know how, which is why we don't question how the balancing out is. And I'm talking about a number of topics that I think you're witnessing as well, because you mentioned in the message the highest timeline. And so I know there are people who are looking at our timeline and they think the shit show's happening. There's people who look at the timeline and think there's some battle going on. I'm talking to you as a person who's in communion with God and who knows who always wins, which is why you don't question it, which is why the only ones who I actually am completely disappointed in are all the grown-ups who are supposed to be intellectuals. Some of them are pseudo-intellectuals. Then others are just dogma. And then I know the ones who are really awesome. And those are the people I learned from. The other ones give us golden nuggets. All of God's children are serving some purpose. And he reminds me to stay humble because he knows exactly what I'm capable of seeing, which is why I'm letting you know. I can see the morons a mile away, and that is exactly why. If you have, again, that's it. Leave it alone. By the third time, you're going to be like, okay, strike, you're out. Have fun, Cusco, being in shame for the rest of your life, because that's how dark matter, dark energy work. There's the dark side's neuroplasticity, but dark matter, dark energy also works. So when cosmic karmic balancing hits, if you're a person who is in communion with God, you're not going to be like, oh, sweet revenge is mine. You're going to actually be a person who's sad, who's concerned, who's worried, and then who's thankful that everything is okay. That's how it works with your oversoul. If you love for real the people that you have in your oversoul. So whoever it is, if it's the second time, again, don't bother with the third time, but allow yourself to start working on forgiving, and that means crying and processing and feeling and all of it with the good, healthy people. So you want to hang out with people who are on your same frequency. You want to hang out with smart people, not mediocre people, not the ones who talk to you about envy, jealousy, and spite. Those people are mediocre because they actually have nothing good to offer you except for the same lame-ass excuses and lame-ass bullshit stories that all these people who are playing Peter Pan and Hook all day long. You know how boring it gets when you're 45 and you meet grown-ups who still do this shit? Very boring. So let me tell you what happened as a teenager. My boyfriend cheats on me the first time, he tells me. Second time, he doesn't tell me. He does it in front of all my friends. I go to all these people that are my friends, at least 3 of them, and I ask, so why didn't you tell me? Why didn't you tell me? Why didn't you tell me? One of my girlfriends, she tells me this. Her boyfriend and her, they had a breakup. Because apparently all the town girls or all the town folk, they spread a rumor that she fucked all the boys in town. I'm, 15, 16? This is 1996, 97. There's still morons like that today, by the way. And yes, they're ignorant morons. And I, to this day, think if you think of Elvis when they cut his legs off, yeah, okay. So when you meet ignorant human beings and you're growing up, you're just like, okay, sure, keep talking to me about morality, integrity. You keep on talking. Just let me leave. I have fun with people. The polyamory thing that I mentioned before, there's a guy, he's like, so I can kiss you? No. So I can fuck you? No. So I can marry you? No. I had fun with that because that's what happens when you're like, wow, bunch of people who don't know how to, I don't know. It's like I'm just like laughing at them in my head, not at them. But I just find it hilarious to meet ignorant human beings. Yes, not really. This is where, as I explained to people before, I just got used to having insecure people, and I have fun with it because why would I actually waste the time I have? If they're insecure, you have fun. If they're secure, you have fun. You have fun all the time. Which is why, you're confusing science and spirituality. Says a random human being, I'm not confusing them, I said I'm bringing them together. So if you're a person who has an integrated brain, you don't get lost because we use a conciliance approach and also because we're not proving anything. The proof thing. So when somebody is still an insecure version of themselves, they want to prove. I don't prove Maria. Maria's right here. I don't know why you would think I need to. Okay, so you're not trying to have a conversation or an interaction because you need somebody to approve of you. This is why you are a functional and a child adult are the words I use. So 5D living is where you are yourself authentically, mentally intelligent, emotionally intelligent, and physically. You don't waste your life away with mediocre people or mediocre anythings. You will be a person who wants to get into a role with whatever it is you're doing, because life matters. I have 24 hours. You think I'm going to waste a life that God gave me with people who are fucking miserable, STDs, drugs, a bunch of bullshit in their mouth and their heads? It's really uninteresting. So the power of community, and I'm trying actually, even in this episode here at IHP, it's only inspiring human potential. And people who think I'm cocky, I'm not. Grandiose people are insecure. I'm confident. It's two different things. The perfect storm, I remember when I got one. So DB, let me tell you about clairs. When you first get opened up to them, and I'd been downloading my entire life, but I didn't realize it because I didn't get into all of that stuff because I wasn't, I mean, do you ever think, I don't know how old you are, DB, but did you think you would have clairs? I don't know if you do. I think you do, though. All I know is when I got clairs, I was like, hey, God, so listen, remember I told you to cloak people hurting children? Yeah, well, now they truly won't take me at all because I'm a Reiki master, I'm a tarot card reader, I'm a Akashic record reader, I'm everything that they're saying is bad, JoJo and Juju. And they're even spreading rumors about yoga bringing demons out of you. Oh, they sure as heck don't know anything about integrity or morality, but you better bet they wheel their mouths to the bejesus of them and allow themselves to be followed by those who bow down to them like masters. And I laugh from far, far, far away. And then I create a community of people we can laugh together, because we're going to get together at workshops, retreats. So the storm, okay, so I see in my mind's eye a big cloud, DB. I see in my mind's eye a big cloud, but it was one of the first things that I had, I just didn't pay that much attention. And then something happens, I'm going to keep it vague, but I knew when that happened, and I knew what the timeline was. Then I start falling in this hole, and I knew the visual was me falling in the bottom of a hole on earth, but I'm not falling. I'm just waiting, though, to end and to get to the bottom of this hole. And there's things happening with individuals of my oversoul. So yes, in this case, I have 3 twin flames, light body, light body, light body, rainbow body, all this beautiful stuff. It's really fun. You don't get lost when God is your consistent guide and Jesus is there. And so any of that, there's no monsters, because anytime I'm meeting people, these are people. I'm a curious one. I'm not somebody who's afraid of you, because you're not physically threatening. So I don't need to actually protect myself. That's how a true warrior works, by the way. The ones of us who know what neutrality means, yeah, the ones who don't know neutrality aren't true warriors. They don't know how to be protecting the future, because they don't know how to use the beginner's mind. So they don't know how their gut works. And that's why if you know of Dr. Daniel Fox, DB, he'll tell you how it works when you meet a person who doesn't trust kindness. I know all about it. They like to test it. Subconscious, as Stephen Porges points out, they don't know what they're doing, which is why they're buffoons. So when I'm meeting 0-8-year-olds on a screen, they play Russian roulette, and they tell us how they know how to be a great man. And it's like, sure you do. While you're playing pretend Russian roulette, because anybody who's a true strategist ain't going to be using their mouth on screen, because that's exactly why. A bunch of smoke and mirrors. When people don't understand how real life works, they seem to think that people who come on YouTube or TV or any of it actually, and there's a way that they trick each other too. It's like, well, no, that's exactly how they're going to make you think it's fake. And so there's all this Alice in Wonderland rabbit hole. I'm going to use Sam Harris. Stay grounded in reality. Any of our cherishable beliefs can be falsifiable. So as long as you're able to maintain a consistent awareness of who you are and what you want to bring forth. Okay, so you don't focus on what's going on out there. You self-regulate, you're accountable, you understand how you work, and then you know things are taking place in the world that are not awesome at all. But it is not by attacking each other. So when you meet insecure people, politically, religiously, all of that which you've seen, society speaking, the smart ones, they will have the word of wisdom, which means they diffuse conflict and provide clarity. They do not bring in more of that which is conflict. Do you know who gets off on putting people against each other, DB? I see it when I have my insecure people around. They're like little children, but it's worse, because they're teenage versions of themselves who look like morons, who are doing things on purpose with their subconscious. They don't manage their emotions. They don't master their emotions. They don't manage their brains. They don't even master their own brain, and they think they do, and they don't. Meantime, you get the opportunity to do the one thing that they aren't doing. I'm always driven to be emotionally and mentally more of a master, which is why God chimes in telling me not to judge my brothers and sisters of human suffering, a waste of my fucking time. And I think I'm finally figuring it out as I'm mastering my physical plane still. Every time you meet an insecure one, you have one opportunity to stay kind, open-hearted, and forgiving, and just remember to, it's called differentiate. Thanks, Dr. Dan. So when you differentiate, your insula lights up. You got an integrated brain, insula, amygdala, temporal junction, prefrontal cortex, my two executive decision the executive decision functioning areas, and the, what are these called? I forgot right now. Frontal lobes. So here's where, in a physiological state of compassion, smart therapists, attachment trauma educators explain this all to me. So when you're a selfless, timeless, effortless richness, going with the flow brain, you're going to know a high all day long. And that's where, if you don't know it yet, that's your choice. You get to choose when things happen in life, if you're going to deal with them with this open-ended inquiry. I've been choosing it since I was a kid because I think and feel easily, but I also got rejected at 4 and I went home crying. And I have a twin and I got disowned at 8. So I'm free from effective realism, which is a really sweet deal because that means Maria knows that her emotions, even if they're strong, they're not real. And that my thoughts are not real. That my 3-year-old, well, she might be all by myself, but I'll still be real for myself. You see what I'm saying? So I get to the end finally of this entire journey. Once I get out of the tunnel again, you better bet my bottom that I knew at a certain point that I would know why all of that which happened. And I left myself some roses at a certain point, petals, like little gifts along the way. Oh, DB, I don't know if you are aware, we have masculine and feminine, our own energetic. I'm an empowered feminine and I have my own empowered masculine, but in this lifetime, I'm a feminine. In other lifetimes, I've been a masculine, but that's for another story. So, long story short, the Dharma thing, remember? I closed out my karma with my masculine, which is really good. So I'm going to try and maintain that Dharma because I don't want any future lives with any of the karma stuff. Because it's nice to have good stuff happen. But then again, I'm being silly right now because Earth is only in Dharma. So the truth is the 5D are the frequency people, all the people who are securely attached, non-traumatized, who are going to move into emotional, mental intelligence. But remember, the kids, they get raised by people who are smart. Luckily for us, they can't stop science from being science. And then we have people who don't take their children to hospitals, and they think that they're the ones of more faith. So just remember, 3D, 4D are going to continue to do what they've been doing, which is call any of us who do the, wait for it, we bring it all in, Anima Mundi, they're going to call us the ones who are manipulative and the ones who are basically, it's kind of like when Elvis came in. So we're basically Elvis and they're thinking that we're disgusting. I think it's disgusting that you think you have integrity and your confidence will be eroded the minute I look away. You have no integrity because all I have to do is cling and you're out. And I could be a bitch or a witch and I could manipulate you to whatever I want, my volition. That's how it works when people still have shame. So when people don't own their sense of self, they're manipulable like the back of their hand. When they were raised in environments that are unsafe, you'll know because they will actually think emotionally elite people don't exist. And you will think, wow, again, your Achilles heel is showing all through you and you really don't hear yourself. That's lack of self-awareness for you. So you said again, okay, so here's what I can tell you. Twin Flame 1, it was great. I got to experience a bunch of things and I got to learn how to harness. When Twin Flame 2 came around, I was like, oh shit, that's a doozy. I knew the themes. When Twin Flame 3 came around, I thought that was it. And this was the moment of truth. As I am finally figuring things out, I was like, shit, God is perfect. Thank God he kept me far, far, far away from all of these people. And you know why, DB? The angels, all our brothers and sisters, nobody chooses to have shame. So if somebody got treated like a little piece of shit and they're still living fantasy stages, they're emotionally unavailable, please allow yourself to understand if you suffer a breakup, then therapy is a good thing to help you become your grown-up version. Terreal is really awesome. But if you're understanding that what happens is that people who are emotionally unavailable, they're simply put not going to self-regulate. In their ventral vagal state, they chose and they can keep choosing. Also, it's very uncomfortable for them to be around kind people, neutral people, happy people. So allow yourself to remember they don't want to be happy. In fact, they think we pretend to be happy. So it's not something that is a choice. The only choice they have is if they want, like Dr. Daniel Fox presents, they can heal themselves and they can understand that maladaptive patterns of behavior happen. So people can fall back on their bad habits. But it's if they choose, like Dan Martell points out, to know that every day they will be building their future human. So if a person doesn't care what shit they're doing today, they don't care about tomorrow. They have 24 hours. You got 24 hours, right? You think I want to waste my life away with people who don't want to be driven to be mentally, emotionally, physically intelligent? I mean, the reality is I'm building a community for people who want to inspire human potential. The only legacy the community here is going to leave behind is one of compassion and love and intelligence. So there's no monsters inside of morons. There's only monsters inside of the head of people who don't want to go heal, who don't want to become smart, and if they don't, it's okay. They don't need to use their prefrontal cortex. Here's what neuroscience can tell you. I have one of the lovely teachers that taught me about this. They worked with a police officer because the wife was going to leave this guy. And this guy did great at his job, but once he was done with his job, he couldn't actually build a good relationship. I don't remember if he was a control freak, whatever it was. She's like, you need to go because we can't deal with you anymore. And so the way that the person presented, the therapist, she said, look, you're not going to lose any of your capabilities, but we're going to help you build new neural pathways, because these ones are not serving you well. Okay, so when people have maladaptive patterns of behavior, that means they have grown comfortable with their unhealthy self-soothing mechanisms, with their unhealthy ways of thinking, with their unhealthy habits. They're unhealthy because they're using fantasy. This dopamine hit of highs and lows, it's a bullshit one that also stresses out the body. And it's one that they will continue seeking. Twin Flame 1. I'll never forget how this thing played out, because this is the saddest thing ever. Twin Flame 2. Twin Flame 3, meaning people you love, when you see boyfriend, teenage, when you see them turn out to be nothing of what they could have become because they didn't take care to get their essence online, the people who will say, but they're doing just great and dandy. Sure they are. Yes, they are. I'm seeing teenage versions of them. That's so amazing. Wow. I get to see morons. This is how I think of people who are immature. And that's why my lovely family, who I love to death, all of them, they're like, you do judge. No, you have strong opinions. Well, yeah, but they're not truths. They're just subjective opinions. And one of my friends, he's like, it seems like you think you're better than us, Maria. No, I just do navigate the higher frequency, though. It's the ventral energy. You can do it too. This is a person who actually suffers life. So when I told them how I don't suffer, they began to get pissy in their pants. You have to. I'm like, okay, look, I just tried to explain to you how the brain works. I'm not trying to say you have to do any of what I'm doing. I'm just letting you know that I use two sides of my brain. And so the 5D living, it's a restored, embodied, self-aware, accountable, regulating person. We'll have some more funny stories. It's a person who, no matter how many twin flames you might have had or not have, you're cool with it, because you'll have known that if whatever happened, the outcome, you'll see it. But it's only if you choose to live your highest version, which means you can forgive. But it also means science is what humbles a person of faith. Because if you're in communion with God, again, you know He's perfect in every way, shape, or form. You know that the world and what takes place will be balanced out, which is exactly why enlightened ones, they are consistently in this state of ease. It's called your ventral vagal state. And so it's called intelligent people who go with the flow. Neuroscientists talk about it. All the smart physicists, quantum physicists, they have a lot of different ways, but what they will, not all of you know this, but there's a bunch of them that talk about you doing things by yourself. You don't do anything by yourself, because we are an interconnected species. Furthermore, it's a teenager who's basically making it out to be like they did everything with their own two hands, while you don't do anything by yourself. And that's the part of why there's a disrespect for the brothers and sisters. Only a fool believes that success achieved alone is real. John Amaechi. So when you meet the teenager versions of any of the 3D, 4D, so the people who will say that they have achieved their highest potential, but they have armor, and they have a way of judging, meaning that others have to be on one or another side, and or basically that they were abandoned. So when you feel unfair is happening, that feeling of unfair is something that for me doesn't exist, because again, faith means God knows what's happening. I'm not God. Anybody who wants to compare themselves to that which is source, Akash, Anima, Mundi, whatever it is, it doesn't matter, but they've completely lost their a channel is a channel. I'm always going to be part of it. I don't know if you're following, DB, but the point is, when you're playing like you know more than others, and that's because you're connected, you're pretending that you think you can know it all when you don't, because you're not it. And so there's a bigger plan, and that plan doesn't involve sides, if that makes sense. So I'm going to stop and leave that one for another episode and close on out with the relationship one. So in my occasion at Twin Flame 3, really it wasn't hard for me to know how to handle the situation, because relationships are made of people. So it doesn't matter what words I might use or not use. You're a person. The minute you disrespect me is the minute that I will have seen your first hand, I will have asked your second hand, then your third. That's it. I'm done asking. I know exactly what you're made of. And so when you meet emotionally unavailable people, men, women, days, it doesn't matter. They're always going to think they're right and you're wrong, and they're going to talk over you, and they're going to continue doing what emotionally unavailable people do. Pretend to live life. And in the meantime, we don't have to be irritated by low frequency people, because they can go heal their child parts if they want. If they don't, then they can live out the rest of their karma, which is the 0-8-year-old. Pat Ogden talks about how non-metabolized trauma works, and I've seen it like the back of my hand for the past 2000. Yeah. So they all will make a choice, and they will get so many hands before they will have committed, because the dark sides of neuroplasticity is that they armor themselves shut in, shame, blame, fault, revenge. So anybody who has a superhero and supervillain is continuing to use the dark sides of neuroplasticity and a mindset that is divisive, and that has teams. It's also called the image thing. So they don't use their name. They use, it's not image, it's called identity. Yeah, so the words, the way that I use them, please know, DB, I don't use dictionaries, and I actually find words very hilarious. All of them. And I also am trying my best to make sure we don't have any of the boring people here. So because they get all divisive based on the words you use, I even see it when smart human beings are being interviewed. So for example, what's his name? Thomas Campbell, he's mentioning how things that we will use, symbols, stories, it's the way that our brain's going to make sense of something. That's any person who's grounded in reality. When you're using your human secondary consciousness, I know exactly why Maria will always make sense to herself. So what he's trying to say is, you're going to have the capacity to learn whatever you're here to learn the way that's going to make sense to you. And the person who they were talking to didn't really appreciate it from the perspective of chakras. And that was because they were like, but they're real. And it's like, well, they're real to you, but they're not necessarily real. So when you can understand that we have different ways that we'll talk about concepts, and then you can have fun with it, which is what I'm having right now, then that's who we're coming together with. So yeah, people who don't know how to have fun with words and differences and all of that, which is information, and our beliefs. So yeah, God, do you think, this is what always made me laugh, when people want to say that God is going to be mad at you for this or that as you grow up. Of course, if you're a kid, you don't know any better, but as you grow up, you really think God would punish suffering human beings? So the reason I got all compassionate as I grew older is because I have a bunch of people who made me very well aware how much they suffer life. And at that point, I'm like, I'm sure God won't punish them because they don't want to live, because they are really miserable. Like, oh my gosh, they're not making anything of their life. And this is the part of where the therapist can help anybody who has suicidal idealization or any of mental health stuff to get better. But when somebody wants me to actually impose my will upon another human being, and I am able to know that I've never walked one day in your shoes, so I can have opinions, yes, but I won't ever say you don't have a right. I go and vote. I have laws, but the part about if someone's suffering life. Okay, so this is the part of why someone who wants to think they can actually tell you how another person feels, while I can say I love life, and somebody who suffers it, I'm sad for them, but I don't suffer it. a person who sees me says, no, but you have to suffer life, Maria. I don't suffer it. Why do I have to? Because you don't know how to use your nervous system? But you can't, I won't go telling somebody that, because this is the part, proof. You can't prove to someone that you are not suffering. You can explain it to them. If they don't want the explanation, they don't like the sciences, they don't like what they're hearing. So that's why I'm trying to let you know, the again person, whoever they are, leave it alone, because if they've done it twice, they'll do it a third time. And then they'll do it a fourth, and they'll do it a fifth. If instead they change something, meaning that they come to the awareness of who you are, what they are, then that will be different. It will be the conversation will be completely functional. Inner child adults know how to talk authentically, transparently. They know how to walk a walk and talk a talk. DB. If they're not functional child adults, they won't keep their promises. They don't know how to, because they will fall flat down on their face, and they will not take ownership of it. They won't take ownership if they don't become their authentic true self, because they're a performer. It's just a circus act. So when somebody has shame ruling them, they're afraid to make a mistake, so they're not going to be themselves, and they don't rule their subconscious. And you can't actually make them learn their subconscious if they don't choose to do the right thing, which is go take ownership of their child parts. So the subconscious is what 3D, 4D is living out. That's the karma stuff. That's the way I'm bringing it to you. Ask me all the questions you want. I'll do another episode to answer them. But in the meantime, what I can say is God is perfect as always. And when I actually was able to, it was recent, a couple months ago, I think, I was like, oh my God, it's such a great thing. He kept me far, far away. So you know how you can't take things back, right? So when people say, is there anything you regret in your life, Maria? No, you have to. One thing. Okay, you know how people, the ones who suffer life, right? They always have to say, you have to have something. What if you're going to be killed? So I make sure to try and keep shit in my pocket. So just in case they're going to be like, you know, and so yeah, there's this one thing. If I really wanted to, I say, I regret it, because I can't take it back. But it's not a big deal, because I actually meant it. What I said, I meant it, even though I didn't mean it, but I meant it. If I went back in time, totally would do it again. This other thing, I would not. If I went back in time with the knowledge, totally, I'm like, shit, thank goodness I went to the future, and now I can go back and I can do it totally differently. So I don't have anything I need to regret, but I don't have anything to regret anyways, because, like I was saying, God's perfect in every way, shape, and form. So he keeps certain children of his away from people that need not be near us. And when you meet 4D, they think that we're being protected. That's not how it works. If you're a securely attached, non-traumatized, self-led person, they protect others from us, because the stare of a person who knows exactly what respect means, it's one that you can't take back, because it's one of those like, But yeah, we don't get any of that, so that's okay. But I like to let you all in on fun fact. When we know people have wronged us, it's not unfair. It's called biologically rude. People are selfish because they're insecure, like my facade friend, who's the reason why I don't yell at people in their face. He's an insecure friend of mine, and I'll tell you the story another time. But yeah, thanks to him, I actually noticed that people don't know how to be themselves. And then thanks to Bezel van der Kolk too. So as long as somebody has shame inside of them and they don't heal it, leave it alone. It's Cusco. Just think of Cusco. He lies to Pacha at the end. So basically, as long as a person's not going to become their prefrontal cortex, they're not living 5D. You see? When they're living 5D, they know how to walk a walk, talk a talk, and they know moderation. Everything. Eating, drinking, no drugs. Drugs are bad for you. They put holes in your brain. I mean, okay, look, I don't do any drugs, so I know some people like the marijuana stuff. They have fun. I don't. But the cocaine thing puts holes in your heads. Plus, it's illegal. Like, they really need to, look into all that stuff. But I'm just going to leave it all to the side and say, you get older. As you get older, you're going to want to be around people. So I would assume. Plus, if you're living 5D, I'm so sorry, I forgot to mention that. We don't need any high, because we're already on a high. The ventral energy. So you actually don't need any psychedelics, none of it, because you're living always. I have not one day that I would say I don't want it back. Every single day of my life, and definitely a blessed life. And so yeah, 5D is also fun because it's the future. So yeah, the future does look bright. Oh, did I mention, DB, I come from the future? Did I mention I'm an Akashic record reader? There's so many things I can tell you. You just ask away, I'll make some more episodes. But Meantime, the whole goal of trauma treatment is to help people feel safe in their bodies. Thank you, Ruth Lanus. So when you meet people who are safe in their bodies, they're safe in their heads, they're safe in their hearts, we are not sad about people who don't want to join us. We're sad. I was sad when I was a kid growing up. I'm not sad for them now. I've met a number of biologically rude people, DB. I have one. This is a good one, and this is my entire oversoul. This one did this. I bet you $1, Maria. You're just a fucking object. Fucking, like an actual fucking object. So there's a long story that I'm going to keep brief. Basically, you know when you have friends and you give them advice, like Bessel van der Kolk points out, like, this is not a good woman for you, this is not a good woman or man, okay? So imagine having a bunch of that, DB, and all these people basically just need Patrick Tiahan. In the meantime, they don't get any of that Patrick Tiahan, and so guess what I get to encounter? Oh, and they don't say they're sorry, but it's not about unfairness. It's just about, wow, that was amazing. They actually came in with their full force. And then I actually did say, look, I owe you $1, by the way, but I wasn't going to call you because that was actually quite mean. But I did call you because, you know, I'm a person who wants to pay my debts, even though I don't pay my debts all the time because sometimes I'm poor and I don't have money. And people who want to actually hold that against you, it's like, okay, really? Success. What is success? I wonder. Is it all the money that people owe? No, it's not. So mindset is success. So is heart. And when you have the heart and the mind and the body, that's 5D living. And it's not easy or hard. We all have a different page we start on. So in some cases, we lived many, many lifetimes. So do you think that if you're happy, you should feel guilty or upset about it? Do you think somebody deserves to be upset at having a good life? Because it always seems like people who want to tell me I'm pretending think that I should, like, be suffering. So it's very funny. There's a lot of things I would tell people, but I don't because I don't want to waste my time. Because the minute you think that I'm pretending, it means that you, one, think I'm pretending, two, I won't be pretending because I'm not. And then 3, you actually don't notice what you're telling another person because you want them to be able to suffer with you. And I don't do the low frequency bit because Jesus suffered for my sins and God is good always. And I don't turn my back on him because, like my good Christian Catholic upbringing teachers taught me, he's perfect. And the Holy Spirit, open-hearted, you see? So you don't say, I promise, get confirmed, and then back out on your promise because someone kills themselves. Like my lovely teenage boyfriend, no, he didn't kill himself. His friend killed himself, and he told me that I didn't believe in God because God's real. That I only had faith because I'm afraid of death. This is the same person who then went ahead to cheat again 4 times, by the way, and he got cheated on. And so it's hilarious, isn't it? So yeah, when you meet people who won't become much more than what their 0-8-year-old story is and their teenage version, it's really unimpressive. Emotionally, mentally, physically intelligent driven people are interested. They're the 5D collective. They're healthy because they know everything about moderation, mystic, spiritual, mindful. They're not bypassers. So come back and join us, DB. I brought in a bunch of things, so I'm pretty sure you might have some questions. It'll be fun. And what I can tell you is I was excited when I heard about 5D. I still am. And the scientists are the ones who honed it in. And so I would wish that I could tell you that the faithful ones, they're all on the same team, but they didn't all accept the Dalai Lama's call. So when you see spiritual people who are fighting about things and they're wanting to prove spirituality, yeah, they're not actually yet in oneness. If they're in oneness, then they know we have all these different words so that we can all have fun together and that nobody's needing to prove anything because the objective reality is right over here. Like Neil deGrasse, you know what I mean? So that's why we have that. And then as for everything else, it's just a bunch of chit chat where we get to have fun. Spiritual and personal growth is what I do. So just in case you're curious, which is why I chose to not commit to talking about topics that are experts in ways that are like, I just choose to say mindset is everything because it's your life that you're going to choose to live as your true self. So the 5D at IHP, it's all about being yourself. And that's why it's fun. And I can tell your oversoul always gives you the gift of your choice. You can be yourself authentically. Or, like my facade friend, you can maintain your Achilles heel, and those of us who know of them, well, they got 5 hands, and then they get to go and have a good team and a bad team, and we get to allow them to do whatever they want to do, and then we're going to continue to do what we're doing. So, we'll be back with more. Have a good one.